Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost joins us now. Attorney General Yost, thank you for being with us today. Given the letter that you did write to Norfolk Southern in recent days, are you still considering a lawsuit here? And how are you thinking about that as more information does unfold on a daily basis?
Well, we actively are considering litigation and what form that will take. There are significant federal preemption issues that we are researching. Yeah, we believe that Norfolk Southern needs to be held accountable for this. That's why we sent the litigation hold letter.
Understood. And to what you just touched on, it is a tricky thing because the freight railroads, the Class 1 railroads, are federally regulated. They are common carrier. They do have certain carve-outs within the law based on those regulations and how they operate and the types of materials they're essentially I don't want to use the word forced, but they're forced to carry and transport around the country. And so thus there are some precedents from a Supreme Court standpoint about what litigation could look like. I guess just walk me through how you're thinking about it on behalf of the state, on behalf of residents of East Palestine, as more information has yet to be revealed.
So obviously, as you mentioned, we're still finding the facts, and facts are important to a lawsuit. You know, you've got to produce evidence, not just law. That being said, we think that the state of Ohio probably has several causes of action, including nuisance and trespass. Where that goes at this point is going to be partly dependent on the legal landscape. It's also going to be dependent on what facts are found. So right now, Governor DeWine has his EPA, his Ohio Emergency Management Agency, on the scene and doing their fact finding. There could be actions available to the state as well. We're looking to see if we get a referral from those agencies.
Are you speaking to the federal government in the midst of this as well? And what is your take on the Biden administration's response so far?
Well, we appreciate the fact that the U.S. EPA had a strong presence on the ground in East Palestine. A little more concerned about the continued hands-off approach that the Department of Transportation seems to be exhibiting. Secretary Buttigieg has had very little to say about this, was silent for the first 10 days. However, Governor DeWine has been in contact with the federal officials. We are continuing those interactions.
Excuse me. So in terms of, I guess, potential deciding factors on how you move forward in terms of legal action, Norfolk Southern is certainly on the ground. They're involved in removing the contaminated soil. They're involved in removing the contaminated water. They have stood up a fund. They seem to be directly reimbursing residents as well. I think it's something like $2.7 million total and counting has gone back into the community. The CEO released a letter yesterday and basically said that they're there and they're going to stay there as long as they need to be there. How do you see that, if that continues to play out and that continues to be the case, and how do you factor into that any potential litigation that you may bring forth in the coming weeks, in the coming months?
Well, I'm hoping that this isn't just corporate PR, and I'm glad that they're on the ground doing some things, but let's not minimize the epic proportions of this toxic derailment. We've got a plume of pollutants that is moving down the Ohio River. It was just outside Gallipolis last night, and there's a lot going on here, a lot that we don't know, and a lot that needs to be fixed. In addition, how do we keep this from happening again? There's indications that sensors were giving an alarm. There's video showing sparks, for crying out loud, coming off of a train going mile after mile after mile with hazardous cargo on it. So I think that it's good that they're on the ground in East Palestine. I think that making the people of Ohio whole and making sure that this doesn't happen again should be the goal of any litigation.
You raise such crucial points in the situation. It's incredibly tragic what has happened in the area, and we don't fully know the ramifications of all these materials longer term, even though I know the EPA and the state and others have been saying things like the drinking water is safe, and the well water, the town's well water is safe, that the air quality is safe, et cetera, at least to date. When it comes to a situation like this, if you do see potentially longer-term health effects, and they can be linked back to, and there's a lot of ifs here, but they can be linked back to this accident, what does that mean in terms of legal ramifications and your ability to enact those or bring those forward in a court of law, given the fact that this could be a situation that, if the worst-case scenario plays out, takes years to play out?
Right. And the downstream effects might even be longer than 5, 6, 7 years that litigation might turn out or take. Look, the Attorney General's office is going to fight not only in court, but in the regulatory sphere. We're going to work with Congress to make sure that whatever reforms are necessary happen, in addition to standing up for the people of this little town who, frankly, don't have a PR machine, don't have millions of dollars to lay on the table. All they've got is their individual homes and their lives and their businesses. That's what I'm most concerned about.